In 2019, my parents lost my childhood home. My dad was 4 when he migrated to the States from Mexico, and this was his dream home. I had no intention on getting emotional during this post, but this home was also my mom's dream come true. We built so many memories there. We had our family over constantly. My friends were always there. It was just the spot to go and hang out and feel safe and feel like you're home no matter who you were. The feeling of losing it was the worst feeling ever. I remember leaving my home and walking down the stairs for the last time and thinking that I never want anyone in my bloodline to feel this kind of devastation, essentially, again. And I didn't want it for anyone else. I was 19 when this happened. I'm 31 now, and since then I've worked my ass off. I didn't want this to happen again. I've made smarter decisions. I've done my research. I've really been clear on the places I gotta go. I've interviewed people to see what mistakes they've made and how I can learn from them. I remember how excited I was whenever Obama took office. I was like, we got our first black president, and he's so generous. Like, oh my God. And it was my first year, like, going to college, and I was like, this is so freaking awesome. Who knew what was going on behind the scenes? But now that I'm in my 30s, I see that there was just so much more to it. It was supposed to be my first year in college, and I got into a really great school, but I couldn't go because financial aid didn't cover it. My parents made too much, but yet didn't have enough to send me to school. So I got 0. And guess what? I didn't qualify for healthcare either. That was a shit show. And I was getting taxed on not having healthcare as well. I never wanted to fucking listen to my dad. Like, if you knew me when I was 18, 0 fucks given, listen to nobody. I only listen to myself. I make my own rules, make my own decisions, still till this day. But back then, I was hard-headed as fuck. Until finally, I saw that my family wasn't the only one going through these hard times, and I started asking questions. We were in a recession. I had no idea what the fuck that even was. I felt clueless, and I hated it, so I decided to shut my mouth and listen and learn. I was wrong about a lot of things, and that's okay. That's totally okay. It was really hard for me to admit at first, hey, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. That was really hard. But I had to swallow my pride and my ego and say it. I finally realized that the financial situation of everyone in the United States of America depends on who's in office. And that's when I decided that I was going to really dive in and be a full-blown conservative. Not just did this align with my morals and values of being Mexican American, but it made sense financially for me and my family. That's why I'm voting for Trump, y'all. It's not because I'm a bigot. It's not because I'm a fucking racist. That's disgusting. Get that out of my face. It's because I really, really care for people and I care for my family. Cheers.
Mexican Trump supporters thought the hate wouldn't reach them. Now they are crying, getting deported, and finally realizing Trump was never on their side. Let's get into these reactions because the regret is loud and very delicious. Like and subscribe if you're tired of people acting shocked. Yeah, let's go into the video.
¿Cómo se llama la canción? No la tienes ahí. Bueno, les va a ayudar.
Frankie, no pido para mí. Frankie.
So this was the father who was separated with his son. So the father was going back to Mexico, but his son was staying to the US.
So now I'm seeing all these videos of Mexican Americans crying about how they regret voting for Trump. And honestly, I can't feel bad for you because when we told you this would happen, you didn't listen. When it was just theoretical, it was easy to ignore. But now that your undocumented family is at risk, now that your kids are being targeted or the kids in your circles, now that they're coming for you, now it's a problem. Listen, I get it. I have family who voted for him too, and I won't lie, it makes it very hard to process. It sometimes even makes it hard to talk to them because how am I supposed to be okay with that? I have undocumented family. I have a trans sibling. Trump's policies directly hurt people I love. So when I see our own people supporting him, it feels like a slap in the face. And I keep asking myself, why? How did this happen? This man called Mexicans rapists. He bragged about deporting families. He made racial profiling and hate cool again. And still, some of you voted for him. And now, reality is hitting. Oklahoma just passed a law requiring parents to prove citizenship to enroll their kids in school. Texas is next. Who do you think they're coming for? Not white, undocumented Europeans, Latinos. And now some of you are shocked? What did you think was going to happen? That they'd make an exception for you? That you're somehow a good immigrant? That Trump actually cared about Latinos? Be serious. I know some of you are going to defend your stance with like, well, my family voted for him because they don't like socialism. They care about small businesses. They're conservative. They're religious. Okay. But at what cost? At the cost of our people being deported? At the cost of our kids being denied education? At the cost of our community being unsafe? And so now you're feeling the consequences and you want us to feel sorry for you. No. I'm saving my sympathy for the people who didn't vote against their own families. It's exhausting. We tried to tell you, but if you voted for Trump and regret it, sit with that, reflect on it, because the rest of us, we saw this coming. Please don't share any hate, not even towards Latinos who voted for Trump. This is just my personal view and my frustration about this entire situation.
Call me that friend that's a little too woke, quote unquote, but if you're a Trump supporter and you're Mexican or you have, kids that are Mexican because your spouse is Mexican, basically your kids are somebody that would qualify for the whole Mexican dual citizenship, thing that's been going on for a while. Why are you getting citizenship?
And then it's right, but at the same time I don't know, because then sometimes it's you go and then
I don't know, I guess to me it just doesn't sit right that your content is, or just anybody's content, is gonna bring Latino audience, and then you go ahead and follow Trump, and then go ahead and repost ICE stuff knowing what Trump stood for before voting for him. It just doesn't sit right with me. Math isn't mathing.
If you're a Latino and if you voted for Donald Trump, you're gonna fuck around and find out, because guess what? Your president, Donald Trump, just signed an executive order ending birthright citizenship. If your parents were here illegally when you were born, he wants you out. He wants you to get your luggage ready and get the hell out of his country, because no matter how white you think it is, el nopal lo tienes en la frente, compa. No matter how good you think life will be under Donald Trump, it's not going to be, because we are not wanted. We are not the skin color they want. And I just feel so sad for your parents who worked really hard and came here illegally because they wanted to give you a better life. They were not thinking about themselves. They were thinking about you. And you, when you voted for Donald Trump, you were not thinking about them, about their future, their safety. You were thinking about lower gas prices, but now guess what? Your president wants to kick you out of your own country. He wants to kick you to a land that you don't even know. Isn't that sad and pathetic?
And then but at the same time I don't know, because then sometimes it's you go and then.
Some of the biggest electoral swings towards Donald Trump, biggest vote swings towards Donald Trump, came from Latino men, Mexican-American men from South Texas and border counties in this past election. I want to talk a little bit about it. So yes, even though Latina women voted for Kamala Harris, 2-1. There was a slight advantage for Donald Trump with Latino men, including young Latino men. And this is something that's been concerning a lot of people and wondering how it happened, where it came from. It caught a lot of people by surprise, but it didn't actually catch me by surprise. So I want to detail that now. First of all, we've seen for a long time that the Democratic Party hadn't really delivered on working class issues for a very long time. At least in South Texas, there's been a history of Democrats being in control of Congress, of Senate seats, of local seats for 100 years. And when the country was struggling economically and financially, where a majority of Mexican American men are blue collar workers, are working in the oil fields, are working in pipe fitting, are working in construction, and they're seeing their pockets get shrink more and more over time. I think there was a lot of frustration with the Democratic Party in an area where we have some of the highest poverty rates in the world that have been represented by Democrats for a century. You know, what have you done for me lately starts becoming a thought process for a lot of Latino voters, Mexican American voters in these counties. It's also important to note that for a long time, a lot of the counties along the border in Texas were people that were working in the farming industry as farm workers, these low-wage jobs, but the economy's actually become a lot more diversified over time. So for example, after 9/11, the Department of Homeland Security got created, and the Department of Homeland Security actually became the third largest employer in places like Hidalgo County, where I live at, one of the largest employers as well in Webb County and Laredo, Texas. Those folks are represented by the Border Patrol Union, and we know the Border Patrol Union is very political and very right-wing and conservative and Republican-minded and support Trump. So when you have a lot of Mexican American men joining the ranks at DHS, at Border Patrol and law enforcement, these police associations, these police unions, these Border Patrol unions, yeah, their politics are very clear. They're with Donald Trump. Another thing that a lot of young men do where I'm in my corner of the world is that if they don't go to college, they go to the oil fields. So the oil industry is sort of their only place of political education. They didn't receive a proper political or government or civic engagement education through high school or college because they didn't go to college. So their political analysis is informed through their work, through their oil bosses, wherever they work, whether it be West Texas, Central Texas, or in other parts of the country. We also saw historic investments or spending from Republicans and conservatives in South Texas and other parts of the border like we've never seen before. We know that the Koch brother network had been funding Libre Initiative, a Latino-led conservative group to be organizing through conservative churches or evangelical churches, and that network here in the Rio Grande Valley for a long time. But in the past couple cycles, it's grown to other Latino conservative PACs that have been getting funded or bankrolled by West Texas big oil business that have been investing in these Latino Republicans in South Texas who have won, like Adam Hinojosa for state senate, like Janie Lopez for state representative. There's a growing number of Latino Republicans winning some of these down ballot races here in South Texas. Combine that with Democratic consultants that are not from South Texas, that are not from these communities, who vastly misunderstand the culture, who are the ones getting the political contracts to run TV ads, to run campaign strategy, who have no idea how working class Latino or Mexican Americans think, are the ones that have the power to decide on the messaging for these TV ads, on these digital ads, on how you reach people at the door. They fail miserably. And it's time that the Democratic Party look at themselves in the mirror and invest in grassroots organizing. Go back to organizing working class folks, empowering working class blue collar workers into the party. Some of the roots of the party are that. And so I feel that they've become a party of favoring the elite, of a lot of rich folks who think they know better, and it's rubbed people the wrong way, unfortunately. And then, of course, we also have the evangelical church that's been growing in Latino communities for the past decade or so. The evangelical is politicking from the pulpit. There are pastors, Latino pastors, all over this country who are politicking from the pulpit, convincing their churchgoers to vote Republican, to vote with Donald Trump. The Texas Public Opinion Research conducted a poll immediately after election and polled Latinos in Texas. And what were Latinos in Texas saying who voted for Trump? What was the main reason? Number one was economy, but the second was actually leadership and morals. It's crazy for me to to think that like they voted for him on leadership and morals, because when I think of Donald Trump, I do not think of leadership and morals as a Latino guy from South Texas, but I could see how a lot of working class dudes, men that I grew up with, see him as a strong leader, as powerful, trying to dominate, trying to be the man, machismo, that type of that type of vibe. Feels like a lot of the Democratic Party establishment abandoned economic populist messaging, corporate greed, because let's face it, there's still a lot of corporate backers of a Democratic Party that don't want that message to be spread. So Democratic Party was kind of, had their hands tied behind their back in trying to reach working class people, while Trump over there was viciously lying that he was going to, cut grocery prices and going to eliminate or going to eliminate taxes for overtime pay. So I don't think there's like one thing you could point to as to why Latino men, Mexican American men from South Texas or the border shifted towards Trump in the way they did. But a combination of things makes more sense. Sort of like a perfect storm of things that came together that resulted in the election results, in the numbers that we saw. But anyway, I think that Latino and Mexican men are not married to the Republican Party. I think they are persuadable voters. They are reachable, but they are not the type of voters that you can take for granted any longer. We have to put in work. We have to reach out. We have to be intentional about what we're doing to provide real results for working class people in this country. And that includes Mexican American men and Latino men. Peace, everybody.
All right, so that's it. That's it for today. But let me know what you think about this analysis, or this why Mexican or Latino men from the border voted for Trump, based on this explanation this gentleman gave us. Yeah, let me know. And yeah, shout out to all the creators who created those clips. Yeah, shout out to all of them. Yes, like the video, subscribe, and please send this one to everyone who still makes excuses for Trump. Alright, I love you so much. Bye bye. See you to the next one.